Hi guys, welcome to the session. And sorry, I got a little bit delayed. I was uh, getting my stuff organized on my machine. And today's session that I'm taking for you is on personal mastery. Your ability to master yourself, master your personal spaces, master your mind, and master your action, which is critical for you to which is critical for you to do well in life and actually maximize your personal outcomes in life. And that is it's actually a series of 5 6 sessions I'm going to be taking over this over the next few days. And as you all know, good morning everybody, welcome to the session, and I hope you can hear me and see me properly. So I mean, one thing that I always talk about, or tell people when I'm trying to help you, whether it's for the CAT or any other management exam or any other training program that I do, where I try to help people get more out of themselves. Essentially, what you will do and how much you will achieve in your life will depend completely on how well you can master yourself. And a lot of, I mean, you have other components of other dimensions of what we talk about. For example, we have dimensions like personality development, communication skill development, ability to motivate yourself, ability to keep yourself engaged, ability to focus in the moment, and all those things that we talk about when we talk about performance and doing well in life and maximizing your outcomes in life. Whatever we talk about, all these things can be put into one box, and that box is what I call as personal mastery. And if you simply ask me what personal mastery is the ability to master yourself, the ability to master yourself, master your mind, to make the most of master your mind, your body, and your actions, to make the most of the circumstances you are dealt with in life, to make the most of the opportunities that come in front of you in your life. So I have a simple belief that life is not fair or unfair to anybody. Everybody gets similar circumstances to each other, and we all have similar opportunities to rise above our or to make ourselves rise above the conditions we are born into. And essentially, there's a difference between the way winners operate, the way losers operate, and the way the third category of people, which is called as the non-winners, how they operate. And it is often said that, I mean, and when we talk about personal mastery, in my view, personal mastery has 4 dimensions. There are 4 dimensions of personal mastery. The first dimension is your ability to master your thought, or the ability to improve the quality of your thinking. The second dimension of personal mastery is the ability to manage or structure the quality of your action. The third dimension is quality of communication, and the fourth dimension is quality of leadership and teamwork. Across these 4 dimensions, anything you do in life, right from what you have done in the last 20 years to what you will do in the next 50, 70 years in your life, whatever your timeline, the minus 20 years to the plus 50 years, anything, any opportunity, any circumstance, any challenge you'll face, it's going to be basically down to this. Most of you who are doing this session today with us are CAD aspirants mostly, or preparing for some exams. And essentially, when you talk about preparing for the CAT in a in a 10-month framework, which we have, a 9-month framework, which we have from March onwards, March to November. In this time frame, 9-month framework is approximately 40 weeks of work. And across these 40 weeks, on an average, in a single week, you will do approximately 10 to 15 study sessions. You'll be doing approximately 10 to 15 sessions, which basically means that the game you're playing when you're trying to crack the CAT, this game has around 400 to 600 study sessions involved. You're going to sit on your table, you're going to sit on your bed, wherever you sit and study. You're going to be doing 400 to 600 study sessions. And if you can manage the quality of your thinking and your action during these 400 to 600 study sessions, it's only then do you give yourself your best chance of cracking an exam like this, right? And hence, the biggest indicator for me about how well you will do in your exam, about how well you're going to do in your competitive exam, and not just in a competitive exam, even in life, later on in life. Bottom line, I mean, how do I define a study session? I define a study session as a, let's say, a 2 to 3 hour focused sit down session. And the quality of each session that you do will multiply itself 400 times if you can maintain that quality and keep that quality across 400 to 600 times to give you the outcomes you are looking for. You know, for anything that you want to do in life, anything you want to achieve in life, there is a base or a bottom line about what you need to be able to do in order to achieve it. So if you are let's say if you are a cricket batsman, what the quality of what makes you great or good or average or below average, the quality of your reaction in that split second when a ball is being thrown at you and you are trying to face it. The bowler is bowling at 150 kilometers per hour, and how do you organize yourself in order to face this? How do you organize your instinct? How do you train yourself for that fraction of a second? And if you can manage each fraction of a second, bottom line is one ball is managing maybe 0.2 milliseconds. And across, if you in a test match, if you can face 200 balls and manage your batting across 200 balls in a test match, you're going to hit a century. In a one-day match, if you manage yourself across 100 balls, you're going to hit a century. It's as simple as that. So what I'm trying to say, I mean, I can give you the example of tennis, my favorite sport. If you watch the Australian Open, if you watch the Australian Open final, Yannick Sinner beat he beat Alexander Zverev in 3 straight sets, and it was by all means a one-sided match. Right? It was a straight sets win for him. At the end of the match, Zverev said that I never had a chance to beat you. And if you see the crux of that match, across 3 sets, Zverev was broken only 3 times, only 2 times, only 2 service breaks. The only 2 service breaks in the entire match. And why it was such a one-sided match was because when Yannick Sinner was serving, he did not face a single break point across 3 sets of against the world number 2 player. He did not face a single break point across almost 20 games of serving, 15, 20 games of serving, where he did not allow his opponent to even get to 40 before he got there. 3 points. So why I'm telling you this is because when you start on a journey towards success in any dimension, any objective in life, there is a bottom line of what you need to do well. There's what we can define as the building block of success in that endeavor. Is the building block of success in that endeavor. Right? I mean, if you talk about an organization, let's say a new 5-star resort is opened, the building block of success of that 5-star resort is managing the service experience and the user experience across each single day. If the 5-star resort can have one excellent day where it has managed the expectations and the commitment to every customer that came to that resort on that day. If the 5-star resort can have one excellent day, then it can have 5 excellent days. It can have 10 excellent days. It can have 1,000 excellent days. And across 1,000 excellent days, you build a reputation. So similarly, when you're talking about preparing for the CAT, your CAT is going to be 600 study sessions. Your journey to CAT is going to be 600 study sessions. And the quality, the intensity, the focus, the single-mindedness, the motivation, any word that you can think of, that you can bring into that study session is going to determine the quality of your outcomes. You control these 600 study sessions and you control your outcome. That's how it does. That's how it works. You cannot control your outcome any other way. Right? So if I'm playing tennis on the tennis court, my focus is just the next shot. It is just the next shot, anticipating it, not even the point. The point is too far in the future. The next shot, anticipating what my opponent is going to hit and getting ready for my shot and reaching the ball and then hitting the ball back with the correct decision about what shot to hit. So it's all about that. So, and essentially what happens is most of the time when you come down now this your study session, I'm taking this personal mastery course in the context of CAT prep, specifically in this batch. So your study session can be defined as the action you have to do when you want to crack this exam. And when we are talking about this action, I mean, the crux is going to be, are you able to control your excellence? Are you able to execute excellence? Are you able to execute excellence every single time you sit to study? That's going to be the crux. And if this can be done, most likely your outcome will be much superior than what you are heading towards. And it is almost I mean, it is often said that if a pilot takes off from Delhi and wants to go to London, and he makes a 0.5 degree error in his path, a 0.5 degree error in his path, just a 0.5 degree error in his path, he will reach Moscow. He will never reach London in this journey. Because over a period of time, this error gets magnified. The error is just 0.5 degrees, but the error gets magnified as you increase the length of time on which it is applied. So similarly, You have one subpar. You should have an excellent study session today. You want to do this, and this is the path it will take you to. You have one subpar study session. Your trend is on the wrong side, and you're heading towards this. You're heading towards mediocrity. You've just made a small error of one subpar study session. And that 0.5 degree error that you had, maybe whatever the reason might be that you were trying to do quants and you were not able to solve a few questions, and that put you off. The reason could be that you were distracted by something that was happening around you. The reason could be that you were not motivated or energized for that session. The reason could be that you did not bring your 100% A game into the session today. It could be anything. So one study session, and if it starts becoming a habit, if it starts becoming a regular thing over a period of 400 study sessions, the effect is magnified so much that you are 20 questions away from the guy who's getting a 99.5 percentile. It's as simple as that. So when we now this is not just a motivational session, because my focus in this session is also to talk about stuff that what is the theory behind all this, what is the structure behind all this. I mean, is there some useful or some structure which we can identify, or can we have some actually doable stuff when we talk about quality of thought? So ultimately, bottom line, as I then said, in life in general, I always talk about this, that your focus should be on controlling your next 5 minutes. Even a study session, if you're studying for a study session for 3 hours, you cannot. If I'm studying for a study session at 11 a.m. on a Monday morning, and my target is to study till 2 p.m., my excellence does not need to be controlled here. My excellence need to be controlled. When I sit at 11 a.m., I can only control my excellence till 11:05. I only have control, some degree of control over the next 5 minutes. So as far as I can execute my next 5 minutes of excellence and continue doing this, I should be good in whatever I do. And the day you teach yourself how to sit for 3 hours when you're preparing for CAT, the day you teach yourself how to sit for 3 hours and create a solid, strong study session for yourself, that is the day you have created the 0.5 degree change in your path. And that is the day where you digress or go off the beaten track and go into the track that spells success. So that for me, when I train students for this exam, for me, the first thing that I would want to evaluate with each of my students is, are you doing this? Are you someone who has enabled the ability to create those 3 Rs? Or are you somebody who's still disabled because you have not created those 3 Rs? So what is the theory around controlling your thought? Let me start coming to this. Now let's do a small experiment. And this experiment is, I want you to think of a camel. Right? You'll have to now think along with me as I talk. Thanks, Parijat. Thanks for that comment. Wonderful lines he talks about. So let's do I want to take you through a small experiment. Think of a camel. Now I'll tell you. So is everybody thinking of a camel? Can I get a few yeses on the chat? Think of a camel. Is everybody thinking of a camel? Yes? Right. So now do not think of a camel. Do not think of a camel. Do not think of the camel. Did the camel go away? Do not think of the camel. Did the camel go away? It did not, right? So let's try this another way. Let's try this another way. Think of a camel. Think of an elephant. Think of a deer. Think of a pen. Think of a paper. Think of a glass. Think of a spectacle. Think of a mic. Think about your phone. Think about your father. Think about your mother. Did the pen go away? Did the elephant go away? Yes, no. Did the camel go away? It did, right? So what am I trying to show you here? In in your day-to-day life, in your day-to-day work sphere, there are two ways of thinking. One is towards thinking, and this is coming from a it's coming from from the logic, or it's coming uh, from the discipline of something called neuro linguistic programming. What I'm going to talk to you about next is something that you learn if you study neuralistic programming in life. And that is that there are two ways to think about something. There is towards thinking, and there is away from thinking. When I told you, think of the camel, and then I told you, do not think of the camel, I was using away from thinking for you. And when you use away from thinking, you fixate more and more on the outcome or on what you're trying to get away from. So when you talk about, I want to, let's say a lot of people who are overweight in life, when they tell themselves, I want to lose weight, the focus is on the weight, and you will always struggle to do it. It is always better to move towards something than trying to go away from something. The opposite, do the same thing. You want to do the same thing? I want to get fit. When you tell yourself this, your mind starts focusing on the fitness. It does not focus on the weight. When you keep thinking about weight, you're thinking negative. When you start thinking about fitness, you think towards the positive direction, and you'll see that it becomes much easier to drive. Just like when I moved you from the camel to the elephant, to the pen, to the mic, to the phone, to the glass. When I moved you away from the camel towards something else, your mind automatically went to that direction. Right? So, and there is a parallel school of thought around this. And that is, I mean, of course, you all realize that when you are sitting for that 3 hour study session, and you are trying to sit for those 3 hours study session, you have to mainly manage your mind, right? You have to manage your mind from negative influences. I always talk about you have to manage your mind so that you bring out peak performance. You bring out peak performance on the day, on that time, at that time. And all of us have experience, right? So Hardik says that trying to leave cigarettes and I want to quit smoking. You when you keep yourself, when you keep telling yourself quit smoking, your focus is back on the smoking. And if you instead focus on get healthy and you associate that the cigarette is stopping you from getting there, you will see that you will get more power. It is a small change, but you'll see that said that there'll be more power in yourself, in your mind, to actually your mind will experience less resistance. I mean, you have seen this with a child. A child is crying for a toy, and you keep telling him, I'll not give you the toy, I'll not give you the toy. And he'll keep crying even more for it. Instead of that, you tell him, take this ice cream. Instead of that, you make him run. Let's go run after a dog. Whatever you do, the moment you distract his mind, he's fine. The toy has gone away. Right? And so bottom line essentially is the management of your mind for peak performance. And as I was saying, all of us have experienced peak performance. You've experienced it, I have experienced it. The problem is peak performance comes very rarely. Mostly it comes by accident. It mostly comes by accident. Imagine a situation, imagine a you. Yeah, it's true with every habit. This, what I'm trying to tell you, is true with every habit. But now let's come back to this. Imagine a you who can summon, who can call peak performance. So if I was asked this question, Ki Arun Sharma, in your 16 years of education, do you remember one study session where you achieved the maximum outcome, where everything fell into place and you had a great, what was the greatest study session? So I can actually recollect one specific study session. It was a 4-hour study session. It started at approximately 10:15 a.m. in the morning and it finished at around 2:30 p.m. that day. And this was during my 4th year of engineering. It was during my 7th semester exam. So I often think about this and I tell people who care to listen to me that अगर ये वाला study session मैंने जिंदगी भर किया होता, I was a very average school and college student, but if I had done this study session across 16 years of education, forget 16 years, even if I had just started using this level of focus and intensity, and if I had been able to summon this level of focus and intensity during my 9th onwards, 9th standard to 4th year engineering, if I had done that, my academic outcomes would have been completely different. My 10th, 12th, everything, I would have been topper right through. Because I later realized that, I mean, once I started cracking the CAD, I realized that there was no paucity of intelligence in my ability to think. So now when I'm telling you the story, let me tell you the full story. So what is the background behind this? I told you, most times I mean, as I said, if I ask you this question, you will also be able to pinpoint a few study sessions here, there, where you actually achieved great performance. Yes, no? Tell me that. And as I wait for that, let me also tell you the story behind this. मेरा स्टोरी क्या था? मेरा स्टोरी ये था कि उस दिन 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. हम लोग का एग्जाम था. इट वॉज माई 7th सेमेस्टर एग्जाम. एंड 7th सेमेस्टर एग्जाम हम लोग का इस तरह से होता था कि 1 डे एग्जाम, 1 डे ब्रेक, नेक्स्ट डे एग्जाम, नेक्स्ट डे ब्रेक, नेक्स्ट डे एग्जाम, नेक्स्ट डे ब्रेक, देन वीकेंड आ जाता था तो उसके बाद 2 days ब्रेक, एंड देन नेक्स्ट डे एग्जाम, एंड नेक्स्ट डे ब्रेक, नेक्स्ट डे एग्जाम. इस तरह 10 दिन में 5 पेपर खत्म होते थे. And what had happened, I used to do my studies. I had a study partner, one of my school friends used to sit with me, and we used to study for my engineering papers during the last 10-15 days, and we used to push each other. So what happened is that before this exam, the previous day we could not prepare for this exam because I mean, this was an easier paper than others, but इसका preparation ही नहीं हुआ हम लोग का इस पेपर का. और यहाँ पे एग्जाम था अगला पेपर का. तो हम लोग जब रात को अराउंड 12 o'clock 1 o'clock, सुबह 10 बजे पेपर था, we are sitting, we're trying to study, and we realized that we are not prepared for this exam. And we are feeling tired also. 2-3 एग्जाम दे चुके थे, 4-5 दिन से सोए नहीं थे. तो we said कि चलो आज we will bunk the exam. We'll bunk this exam. And when we decided to bunk the exam, we went to the college. 9:30 a.m. we reached the college, and we met all our friends. And in the college, I was in a college called MIT Pune, private engineering college. We met all our friends, and उनको बताया कि हम लोग आ नहीं रहे एग्जाम में. They were almost shocked to see that because we are okay students. और हम लोग बोले नहीं नहीं, हम लोग डिसीजन ले चुके हैं, तुम लोग जाओ, हम लोग नहीं जा रहे हैं. और जब वो लोग एग्जाम हॉल में चले गए, तो एग्जाम हॉल में जब तक वो लोग नहीं गए थे तब तक पूरा भीड़ था बाहर में. तो वी आर ऑल टॉकिंग विद एवरीबॉडी, एंड देन व्हेन दोस टू when everybody went into the exam hall and me and my friend Rajiv were standing outside, there was a complete silence on the college campus. And then we felt very uncomfortable, and then we got back home, and it took us 10-15 minutes to get back home. और 10-15 से लेके हम लोग बैठ गए पढ़ने के लिए. And the next time we looked up, it was already 2:15 2:30. और वो स्टडी सेशन मेरे लाइफ का मोस्ट प्रोडक्टिव स्टडी सेशन था. Unfortunately, during my school and college career, I could never summon it. It was always by accident. There were a few more study sessions. Class 3 में my parents had installed a Ganpati idol in my house. So उनके साथ गणपति के साथ मैं बैठ जाता था सामने बैठ के, and I used to study. And I suddenly, from coming 15-20th in class, I came second in class that semester. So those kind of things happened in my life, but it was always accidental. And this story I will corroborate with one more story. There was a student of mine very early in my 4th or 5th year of teaching. There was a student of mine, Kirti Mohan Ghosh. Kirti is now a partner in a venture capital firm, so he's made it big in life. So Kirti, when he came to me, he was an IIT Kharagpur graduate. He was a topper from IIT Kharagpur. And from IIT Kharagpur, those days, L&T used to be one of the top placements. So he was an L&T for 2 years. And then after that, he had joined Hindustan Times, and he was working for 1 year at Hindustan Times. So IIT Kharagpur plus 3 years of experience. And that is when he came to me. And when I looked at his profile, he was a topper of class 12th. He was the school topper of class 10th. He was the city topper of class 12th. I was of course in Patna at that time, and he belonged to Patna only. So he was the city topper of class 12th. So completely outstanding academic profile. और कीर्ति का जब कैट दिया तो ही गॉट कॉल्स फ्रॉम बैंगलोर, कैलकाटा, लखनऊ, इंदौर, कोझिकोड. उस टाइम 6 AM होते थे. ए डिड नॉट कॉल हिम फॉर some reason. He missed out on A. He got B, C, L, I, K calls, and he converted all of them. He converted B, C, L, I, K, all five he converted. Then after that, he joined C and was the topper at IIM Calcutta. And when he passed out of IIM Calcutta, 2 years later, he came back with the highest paying job on campus that year. Now, that's not why I'm telling you this story. So obviously, I used to get involved. I do get involved with my students during their preparation structure. So I got to know Kirti Mohan Ghosh, very interesting character. And I told him, I mean, I used to obviously tell him that all of us admire what you've done. He said, "Sir, it was not always like this." And then he told me the backstory. And he says that I was a very, very poor student during school. I said, "तुम क्या बात कर रहे हो? 10th में तुम टॉपर थे. तुम स्कूल टॉपर थे 10th में. तुम क्या बात कर रहे हो?" बोला, "नहीं सर, मेरा स्टोरी ये है कि आई वॉज वेरी बैड, स्पेसिफिकली इन मैथ्स आई वॉज वेरी बैड. और क्लास नाइन्थ के सेमेस्टर एग्जाम में, हाफ ईयर एग्जाम में, आई फेल्ड इन मैथ्स. He said that I got some 37, 38 out of 100. And he says that I went to my teacher and asked my teacher, कि why did you not give me grace marks? 40 नंबर पे पास कर जाता मैं. मेरे दोस्तों को आपने ग्रेस मार्क्स दे दिया है, आपने मेरे को ग्रेस मार्क्स क्यों नहीं दिया? 2 ही मार्क की जरूरत थी मुझे, आप मेरे को पास कर सकते थे. एंड आई स्टिल रिस्पेक्ट दैट टीचर हु रिप्लाइड टू हिम कि कीर्ति, आई डिड नॉट गिव यू ग्रेस मार्क्स बिकॉज you do not need grace marks. Somebody like you should not need grace marks. And he says that, I mean, normally, imagine a student class 9th के सेमेस्टर एग्जाम में जो फेल कर रहा है, उसका ये आउटकम तो नहीं रहता है लाइफ में. फर्स्ट टाइम 12th में सिटी टॉपर, फर्स्ट टाइम अलॉन्ग विथ 12th दिया, IIT खड़गपुर चला गया, फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट में जेई क्रैक कर लिया, वहां पे टॉपर, IIM कैलकाटा का टॉपर. ये पैटर्न, आई मीन, इफ यू लुक एट a student who's in class 9th failing in semester exam right now today in, let's say, in Delhi, in Pune, any city in India, उसको तुम ये ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड 6 साल बाद ऐसा ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड तो एक्सपेक्ट नहीं करोगे उसका. So Kirti says that when this teacher he talked to me for half an hour that day, and he tried to tell me why he's not given me grace marks, and he motivated me. He says then some switch turned in my life, in my mind, and I came back home and I started studying. और मैं पढ़ाई करने लगा, और ऐसा पढ़ाई किया मैंने, उसके बाद 1.5 साल की मैं 10th का टॉपर बन गया. I topped the maths also across the city. I got 100 out of 100. Right? So my point is that many a times the turnaround is just round the corner. Each one of you is facing challenges of learning, challenges of overcoming your fears, etc. You're facing those. But imagine this, and bottom line is this. I mean, you don't need to do there's no rocket science to it. You improve the quality of your study sessions, you take it sky high, you improve the quality of this, everything will fall into place. और जब तक तुम ये नहीं कर सकते हो, तुम कुछ भी कर लो, तुम्हारा नहीं होने वाला. That pilot who makes a 0.5 degree error goes to Moscow, he does not go to London. Please remember that. The pilot who makes a 0.5 degree error will go into the mountains in Siberia. He will not reach London. And my point is, what if you can summon excellence? What if you can actually, and I did this for myself when I help students do this, I do this to myself, and I had to say, okay, now Arun Sharma, you're on, you're performing. What if you can do that? What will it mean for you? So the second bit of theory about, I mean, one is that you have to get away from away thinking and move towards thinking. I'll give you one more example of this. I'll give you one more example of this. You have an option. Let's say today, 2 o'clock, you have an option. watch the match, or do a 2 hour study session? दो ऑप्शन है तुम्हारे पास at 2 p.m. today, right? You keep telling your mind, let's say you force your mind to do this. You force yourself ki nahi, I'm a good boy, I should do this. And in your mind, you're thinking, I do not have to watch the match, I do not have to watch the match, I do not have to watch the match. जितना तुम मैच के बारे में सोचोगे, इवन विद द डू नॉट, तुम्हारा माइंड डू नॉट नहीं करेगा, वो मैच को बड़ा करता जाएगा तुम्हारे माइंड के अंदर. Instead of that, if you tell yourself this, कि यार 2 से 4 पढ़ाई कर लेता हूँ, I'll feel great after this. I want to feel great about myself. I want to feel great about myself. Hence, let me do a high quality study session 2 to 4. उसके बाद मैं मैच देख लूंगा. ऐसे भी वनडे मैच है, 8 घंटा चलेगा, तो मैं 4 बजे के बाद देख लूंगा. बट आई एम मूविंग टूवर्ड्स फीलिंग ग्रेट, एंड हेंस आई एम डूइंग दिस. देखना तुम्हारा एक्साइटमेंट लेवल चेंज हो जाएगा. तुम जब अपने आप को फोर्स कर रहे हो कि मेरे को मैच नहीं देखना है, मैच नहीं देखना है, तो बहुत विल पावर चाहिए होता है. बहुत विल पावर चाहिए होता है. I don't know, some of you might be knowing about this. 2 years ago, I started a fitness journey for myself. And you can see it in my videos on my YouTube channel. If you see my videos in 2021, 2020, even my core videos, some of them are recorded when I was that earlier version of myself. अभी तुम देखोगे तो you will see that I'm 15 kilos later. Right? And part of the fitness journey, it started with tennis. It started with playing half an hour, 45 minutes of tennis. Now I can play 4 hours of tennis, of singles, without stopping. I don't have an issue. At my age, I'm 53 years old, and I can play 3 to 4 hours with 30-year-old people. वो लोग थक जाएंगे, मैं नहीं थकूंगा. And part of my journey, fitness journey, once it started and I started following this thing, last year, June, I learned how to run. A friend of mine who is from the US, he explained to me how to run long. So I started my running journey last year, June. And I started with 5 kilometers. I started with 5 kilometer runs, and 5 kilometers used to be a challenge because after 3 kilometers, I used to start to need willpower for the first 2 months. I used to need willpower. I need you to put a lot of pressure on myself to complete karo. Then after a few 5 kilometer runs, maybe 20, 30 5 kilometer runs, one day at 5 kilometers, I was feeling okay. I was feeling okay. I was telling myself, abhi to kuch hua hi nahi, my heart rate is fine, my legs are feeling fine. So that day I challenged myself with 10 kilometer करते हैं. I challenged myself 10 kilometer करते हैं. तो when I started doing it, तो 7-8 तक आराम से हो गया. 7-8 तक आराम से हो गया. And the first time I did 10 kilometers, I took 93 minutes to do it. First time I did 5 kilometers, I took 45 minutes to do it. Gradually, it has now come down to 30 minutes. I can do 5 kilometers in 30 minutes, which is pretty okay. I mean, I know that I can improve my speed if I do a little bit of speed work. But ठीक है, मेरे लिए my objective is not to beat any marathon records. But yes, so 93 minutes. Or then I started doing 5 and 10. I started doing alternating between these two. And when I was doing 10, I would do a slightly slower first 5. Instead of 30, 32 minutes, I would do 35, 37 minutes. So that I had the intensity or the fuel left inside me to do the remaining. So gradually this time started coming back down to 70, 75 minutes, 75, 77 minutes. Currently my fastest 10K is around 75 minutes. And then one day I decided, let's go to 15. This is around 15, 20 days back. So I started saying that, okay, at 10 you're feeling pretty okay. तो चलो 15 किलोमीटर करते हैं. राइट, 10 तक ठीक लग रहा है. 75 मिनट्स के बाद योर हार्ट इज फाइन, योर लेग्स आर फाइन. चलो 15 करते हैं. So the first day I was doing 15, I started with that objective, कि 15 kilometers करना है. And 3 kilometers, around the 2-3 kilometer mark, my body started feeling. Matlab, I started feeling very heavy on the legs. My heartbeat was high, and I was starting to feel my thighs were paining, and it was like I was dragging myself. And then I asked myself, "Ki, why is this happening?" And I recall, I mean, what I immediately worked out, because I keep talking about all these things to people. What is happening is I'm thinking 15, and I'm taking my next step. I'm running my next step while I'm thinking कि आज 15 kilometer करना है. And that's the wrong way to think. It's just the next 5 minutes you have to manage. So I told myself in my run, I said, can you enjoy your next step? Let's just focus on the next step. And let's just focus on the enjoyment of the next step. Let's just focus on the enjoyment of the next step. Can I do that? And the moment I started doing that, I just focused on my next step and the next step and the next step and the next step. The next time I looked at my watch, on my Apple Watch, about for the distance, I was already done with 9 kilometers. And that day I ran 1 hour 59 minutes for 15 kilometers. And now my timing for 15 kilometers is down to around 1 hour 12 minutes. 1 hour 52 minutes, 112 minutes. And I can do 15 kilometers. I need willpower after 12, 13. For the first 12 kilometers, my heart is absolutely fine, my legs are fine. And that's the messaging I've given to myself. And I'm telling myself, okay, 15 kar sakte ho, to 20 bhi kar sakte ho. So I'm almost ready for a half marathon without stopping a single time. Now I'm telling you the story because it's the same logic here. In a running this thing, it's just the next step. In a study session, you just have to manage your next 5 minutes. If you start thinking मेरे को 4 घंटा बैठना है, तो नहीं होगा. It's just the next 5 minutes. And the second bit of theory, I mean, there are 4-5 dimensions, 5-7 dimensions I want to bring to you on the quality of thought, and that's why this is going to be a course, not just a single session of motivation. The second dimension is that there is something called the 7 plus minus 2 rule of your conscious mind. And you experience this rule when we did the camel experiment. There's something called the 7 plus minus 2 rule of your conscious mind. That means your mind, your conscious mind, cannot be aware of more than 7 things. Extremely perceptive people, I mean, the most perceptive people might be able to go to 9. Most of us normally have only 5 things we can think of at a certain time. So that's why when I pushed the elephant and the pen and the mic and the glass into your mind, the camel went away because there was no space for it. Right? So what you do in these 5 thoughts, what is occupying those 5 thoughts, is always something you can control. What is the language you're using in your head? What is the message you're giving to yourself? What is the belief you're bringing to that moment? So if you're sitting for a quant study session and your belief is कि मेरे से तो maths होता नहीं. I was telling yesterday in the Ask Me Anything session in the batch yesterday evening, I was telling people this question. Most people who sit for maths, they come with wrong beliefs. मेरे से तो होना नहीं वाला because कभी हुआ नहीं है. So I was giving them this example. Let's say you want to go from city X to city Y, and this is the journey. Let's say it's a 500-kilometer journey. And there are 5 people who start this journey. A is going in a Ferrari car. B is going in a Maruti 800. C is going on a moped. D is walking. E is crawling. Any reason why E cannot reach? Any reason why E cannot reach Y? कि सिर्फ ए पहुंचेगा, ए और बी पहुंचेंगे, सब लोग पहुंच जाएंगे ना. द ओनली रीजन व्हाई ही कैन नॉट रीच इज ही डज नॉट कंटिन्यू फॉर लॉन्ग इनफ. पहुंच सब जाते हैं. सो दैट्स द एग्जांपल आई वाज टेलिंग देम व्हेन समबडी वाज सेइंग कि बाकी लोग से इतना आसानी से होता है. फॉरगेट देम. अपने जर्नी पे कंसंट्रेट करो ना. अपने अपने जर्नी, योर जर्नी इज योर ओन. कंसंट्रेट ऑन इट एंड फोकस ऑन गेटिंग टू द एंड. यू विल रीच द एंड. Right? So everybody will reach. Everybody reaches their goals as far as they're ready to do it long enough. That's the message. And start to try to control these five things, these five thoughts that your mind has. Whenever you have a disabling thought, do not try to get rid of it. Push it out. When your mind space is organized, is getting compromised because there's a disabling thought inside it. Don't try to get rid of it. Bring in an enabling thought and push it out. That's the two takeaways from today. One is the use of towards thinking, and the second is the use of the 7 plus minus 2 rule of your conscious mind. I'll give you more structural inputs in the next session, which we'll do next in the next Magic Sunday. Please start using this and start communicating to me on your this thing. The other message, big message was at every pace, if you're going from Delhi to Lucknow, no matter what your pace is, even the person who's walking will reach, even the person who's on a moped will reach, even the person on a Ferrari will reach. The destination, everybody reaches the destination. Only thing you have to do is you have to be ready. He has to be ready. These people have to be ready to move a little bit longer than these people. Right? So I hope you guys enjoyed this session.